Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
Tank.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the cabal, the deep state, the Illuminati, and all of those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. And sorry about missing yesterday. I just figured the money would start flowing if I missed another day.
Wise, man, wise. Hey, you gotta go what you know.
Well, I had to make another trip into Manila, and it kind of happens, and kind of hard to plan sometimes when these things are going to happen, and yeah, it makes it just difficult to try and get on a broadcast right, on the phone. But anyway, we're back again. So what's going on, Tank? Anything new? What I miss?
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff, I think. Overall, I did invite Michelle Walker on. She'll come on because some pretty big breakthroughs with the Pentagon pedophile task force. They freed up 2,100 kids today. They got 2,100 kids back today, which you know what? I count that as a big victory. That's exciting. They were able to do that, and now I hear about that. But what I think is kind of really pressing, and I'm excited to see what the response will be. Here, I'm going to share my screen here real quick because I think this is really pertinent to what's going on with Ilhan Omar, right? So you can see here. So this is this guy political investigation committee. Really good stuff. I mean, he puts together a lot of really high quality stuff. And so he says, combining all my findings, and Ilhan Omar was in fact at the Antifa riots participating in terrorism. She lied. Now, the way she lied, she said she was in Morocco, right? So he checked the representative database, and she never went to Morocco. So you can see here, basically, I mean, he tracks it all down, explains it very clearly, and I think that's
yeah. I saw this video. It's pretty compelling. It looks, yeah. I mean, for you know. For certain, especially him, it's very obvious it's him. So
yeah, obviously it's definitely him.
Yeah, he's got his whole face there. Hers, it's just you can see her eyes, but her eyes was very convincing anyway.
Yeah, it's very clearly them. And I just look at this like. You can see like this, this whole, like her efforts. It's like you are clearly participating in terrorist activity.
Yeah. I
mean, there's never been a less obvious terrorist group in history, I don't think, than Antifa. And I will say this as kind of a public service announcement to Antifa. I would imagine most of Antifa, or the majority of the people that have been kind of pulled into this ridiculous idea, right? They think that they're fighting for America, or at least some of them do, or at least for the America they think they want. But in reality, what they're fighting for is their own enslavement, right? They're fighting to do away with every part of the Constitution that's valid, and then they're calling everyone else fascist who doesn't want to do it, which in and of itself is fascist, right? They're attacking people for having different opinions. They're throwing bricks into crowds and creating cement milkshakes mixed with, pepper spray and Gorilla Glue and things like that. Their actions are they're like the effeminate version of Fight Club or something. I mean, they think that they're doing things that are really tough. But now the reality is that they are dangerous because you have real mercenaries mixed in with that, right? You have people that are really trained to fight and to kill, and this Antifa is a perfect cover for that, right? So it wouldn't be beneath them to have a group like Antifa be the cover while they are getting all of them killed off, right?
Right.
And at the same time, they're infiltrating on many other levels. Now, we know that the United Nations, has, we've been talking about this 2 miles of military equipment they started bringing in, which, by the way, is illegal all by itself. It's not lawful to have United Nations troops on U.S. soil, period, right? And then they're bringing all this stuff in. And this has always been part of their plan, right? I mean, you talk about Q, mentioned, like, watch California. So it's now you see California.
Well,
now,
I want to interrupt you for a moment because Michelle Walker's on. I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, hey, Michelle, can you, you're there?
I am here. I was just listening.
All right. Well, I don't want to misrepresent you, so congratulations on the big win for the anti-pedophile team there, the Speakwalkers. So tell us what's going on.
It's a big win. It's a big win. Hi, Dave. It's good to see you. I was actually thinking about you other day, so it's good to be on air with you again.
Yeah,
it's been a while. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a project that our Intel group had been able to meet with Trump. We had 30 minutes, and he had agreed to extract the Marines to come in to help extract the children that have been missing, that we have been exposing to the Pentagon task force of intel that we've received throughout Australia, United States, all over the world. And so a big win is that tank that in California, the Marines from the Pentagon pedophile task force went into California and rescued 2,100. And so we have to, 100 children is a huge win for the Marines, and we're extremely celebrating tonight. I was very happy to see a task force that what we requested, and thank goodness I requested this task force with balls, and it looks like we got that, and we got 2,100 kids coming home. So it's a big win, big win.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah, so great work, Michelle, by the way. It's really awesome. And let me ask you a question. So I don't know if you can talk about this, but you mentioned something about the tunnels and the explosions that took place. Can you talk about that or no?
Yeah, we can. So, I had given you actually some footage that we were giving you this weekend from California. We did have people on the ground in California in the medical field and other industries that there was fire coming out from under the ground, and we were using that for tunnels to push them out. And we've been doing that with earthquakes and everything we've had. And we have the entire tunnel and the underground system in Arkansas as well. And so we've had earthquakes in Arkansas taking tunnels out. In Missouri, we've had a few in there, Oklahoma, that we've been able to hit with the earthquake system. And so California, and the underground tunnel part of it was our end, the good guys, burning them out and destroying the tunnels. And so these children that were found were in underground bunkers, ground bunkers and tunnels. So these are the children that have been underground, which is something that I work extremely hard in. Is I'm usually working with children that have not been documented. Our statistics believe that we have over 1 million children that's in the United States.
Was there 2,100 children in California? Were they are they underground? Were they rescued from underground?
They were underground, and they were bunkers and tunnels. Mm-hmm.
Was this in that area that's like just south of Silicon Valley?
In that location, I can give all of what I've gotten so far, and as that report comes out, I know that we're still working. We call California the Goliath in our trafficking world. That's with CPS, the way the court systems take the children things. That's what we call California the Goliath. It's a hub. It's a major hub. It's not the number one hub. We actually would say to you that California is more threat to we the people than the Washington, D.C. So California is extremely important to address. You've got people like Kamala Harris, John Kerry, you've got the Jonah Reed case, Alexi Dillon. You've got some very high-value asset profile cases out of that area, but a lot of corruption with big courts, big judges, come out of that system. So California needed to be addressed. We have Texas that needs to be addressed. Arkansas has been addressed, and also this weekend we have reported thunder for over 37 minutes nonstop in the state of Arkansas and North Arkansas this weekend. And so we are making great progress. I know a lot of people are wondering what's going on, but we are making progress. And this is not an easy task. This is something that has been put in place for a long time. And it's very encouraging news. And, we just encourage for people to continue to share their intel, be vigilant, watching around to see if you see children. And, we have found a lot of people that drive around and think that they video us and they give us evidence. And so we go and look at that 15-mile radius and we can locate normally what's going on in that area. So it's a huge win, very exciting.
No, that is amazing. So, but is there videos that we can put up, or that's not available at this time?
We have, we just sent that message to one group. We asked would we be able to obtain video, and that is one thing that I have asked for, and this is something that I really am encouraging the media and our government out there. That I have said that when we rescue children, that we should see videos of these children coming home, meeting with their families. And I believe that we need to get to the point where our government does show us exactly what's going on the children being rescued and children being returned to their families, and so that we can be transparent. And but this one I feel very good with the intel that's coming in, and this feels pretty solid and feels very, very good. You have to realize that there's a lot of children, and the numbers are really high, that have never been reported missing to you, or they have been in the system. So people need to realize that we have still breeding grounds and undocumented children that have never been documented that we are looking for. We have to get intel on farms, how many children were sold out, how many came out of the prison system. But the number is very hard for us to pinpoint exactly how many children we're looking for. And some of my figures is over 1.3 million children in the United States.
Wow. Just imagine. You can just imagine that those people that are been coming, like even over the border from Mexico, how many of them get picked up as well. And then the people that are just detached from their parents. Society kind of like gets it into the heads of the kids to be against their parents and their family, and this whole thing is set up.
It is.
As it's set up against us.
Set up to children. Well, it's set up to take the children. I was really fighting the children that have been taken away at the border. It's something that I absolutely stand up for. And the reason I stand up for it is because the processes they take these children in, and even on the camps that they have, you can see a lot of sex trafficking. But even when these children come in and they are put in foster care, the system does not check those parents. It could be someone out of another country that got approval, and then they can funnel the children out. That's why you see a lot of child trafficking on the undocumented children coming in from over the border. That system is a gateway for sex trafficking, human trafficking, and the background checks are not done properly. You'll have men do security for the women, the young girls, and it's really unreal. And the money behind this, that platform is tied to different hospitals and doctors. I've already pinpointed all that money where that's going to. And so when I'm always talking about children being trafficked, sometimes people will say to me, Tank, and they'll say, why are you fighting for other children? That's something in America. Well, the problem is I'm going to fight for everybody. Injustice to one across the world is injustice to every one of us.
It's one system.
And I'm going to always say
it's one system that we're fighting, right? We're fighting one worldwide system. And so we can't ignore.
All the systems connect. The United States ships children to Australia. Australia is tied to New Zealand. When you look at the children that Epstein and them are flying out, they're flying them to Australia. The money goes through HBC banks and Ozark banks, and those are all funneled in the exact same way. You have to understand every system to be able to beat it. And unfortunately, we've been very blessed to figure out their entire system, and we plan to send them to get them.
Hey, Michelle, talk a little bit about the effects of fluoride on the adrenal glands and part of that, kind of grander scheme, if you don't mind.
Okay, so we are working right now on vaccination cases and everything, and as y'all know, I study patents, and we look at the chemical make of vaccinations and patents. And so if you look at the CHEM, we have allergic reaction that has adrenochrome in it. And so we had put a connection with adrenochrome and melatonin. And those two, we were finding things that reported they were creamy, they wanted it thicker. And so we started looking at it chemically and came across data that on the adrenochrome, which they torture children to make it higher, that the creamier and the thickness comes from fluoride. And so that's one reason why you have the fluoride in the water, and that's also why you have the fluoride in the vaccinations. But their intent on that is to make the adrenochrome thicker, creamier for them.
Correct. So this, a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about child trafficking, right? Because it's so dark. But the reality is, all of this is stuff that we gotta really just have to be adults about at some point and recognize, okay, there is a global conspiracy taking place that we have the opportunity to really not just unveil. It's not enough to reveal it, right? We have to take actual action, which is part of the reason why we have multiple things taking place. You know, I'm working with the National Liberty Alliance, and we are putting these things down in the court of record, and we are taking things to much higher steps to get very, very solid scientific names and to come forward and actually share research and actually demonstrate real evidence of what's going on. Now, my question is this. Now, we're going to put this in the court of record. We're going to start calling grand juries. Everybody out there, please go to the National Liberty Alliance.org and sign up to be a grand juror, sign up to be a administrator, whatever it takes. Please get involved. We're organizing that process. We have been working with them for a couple weeks now, working with their tech team to design a more user-friendly and appealing kind of a brand. It's something that's theirs. We're strictly as a support to them. But you know what? We want to expose this whole shadow government. We want legal action or lawful action to be taken against them, and to get that done, I need them in full swing. So that's why we're putting so much support behind them. But the ones that are concerned, that like we don't want anyone to think we're trying to take this over from them. We're just trying to support what they're already doing, and we need the people to be part of the law system, or our Constitution will just evaporate. And here in New York, it's we're on borrowed time every day because it's a dangerous setting here, really. In New York, let alone California, but here in New York, they're already doing away with. Go ahead.
You should try Arkansas.
Yes, who knew Arkansas was such a big deal, right? I mean, like, I wouldn't even have thought about it until I met you. But yeah, Arkansas is a beast. It's Arkansas, New York, and California.
Yeah, they think they are in control, but they're learning very quickly they're not. Their reign is over.
The reign is over. I think that's really important. That Kim has always said to me that she's coming down from the top, and the people need to rise up from the bottom, and we need to meet, so that we can unify the world. And that's really what is happening right now. And I know there's people out there actively trying to discredit Kim. Well, tell you what, if you want to discredit Kim, I have a letter that if I could trust you, not you, but on this call with those people, I have a letter directly from one of the contractors from Homeland Security that would tell you otherwise. And I'll tell you something. There's certain things that we don't share because every time people get their hands on something about the trust or about Kim, they use it to try to create leverage, like they're in the know. So we can't put many things out that are official like that. But I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, I don't speak with so much confidence about these things because I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. I can tell you for a fact that the trust is real. The funds have cleared. There is no country in the world. There is no treasury in the world, no intelligence agency in the world that is not familiar with the unknown country. And Kimberly Ann Gogan is, without question, the sole. She is the trustee. She is the primary as well. And that has never happened, which means that she is more powerful than any of the previous groups combined that were there in the past. And fortunately for us, she is an advocate for the people. And a lot of these things that are happening, that are able to happen, is because of information she provides directly to the Pentagon, directly to the president, and access points that she gives them. So believe me when I say I'm very, very confident. Anybody can feel free to come on and challenge that at any time. You can come on the front lines with Dan and I here anytime. Dan's very open to that. He loves a good scuffle. And
all the time.
And you're welcome to contact me directly anytime you want. You can hit me up on Telegram at Tank96, or you can hit me up my personal email at Stephen Rao, STEFFENROWE at speakprojectmedia.com. You're welcome to hit me up there. And I don't shut down anybody's voice. If you have just because your opinion is different than mine, just because you have a different viewpoint or different information, if you are human and you actually have the best interest of humanity in mind, we can do it publicly or privately. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, But I'm more than willing to put myself out there and have those conversations with anybody who thinks that they have the answer that I'm missing. Just FYI.
Can I say something?
You can say whatever you want, dear.
I just want to say something about like with the National Alliance and all these things. When I was building my veteran program, we networked with all the good networks and the organizations. We were networking. And I always said that if someone's already created something amazing, why would I get back in the hamster wheel and spin, the wheel? If I already know someone that's got something, let's work with them. And I see a lot of information, a lot of intel that comes in, and I see a lot of information. There are some days that I download over 8,000 files in one day. So I'm pretty much in the know of what's going on. And I work with over 16 intel groups. And it's concerning for me and my team when I see division on different groups. And I think a lot of times it's from misunderstanding. And I also think that sometimes people lose their direction of the team. And I'm always going to say that when you are not humble and you allow your ego to get in the way, the people that lose are the people that we're fighting for. And so I hope that the alliances are going to continue to come across the board. And it's time for we put it all to the side and be the light in the darkness, and pull all of our teams together, our efforts. It's easier when we're all working together. And I really believe it's time for we, the people, to take responsibility for what is going on and create the change that you want. And be love and light out there, guys. And if you want the difference, you have to create it.
I really I agree. I agree, and I appreciate that a lot. I got to tell you, it seems to be right now that there's those who are in agreement with Kim, and the actual trust formerly known as the Manifold Holding Trust, right? Currently, it is still the unknown country, and also I believe it's being referred to as the central bank, because it is the central bank of central banks, more than the trust. And this is not something that is a stretch. I've spoken directly to Chinese elders, in China who sit on the board for the 5-star trust. And I've spoken to the central bank in China, and I've spoken to, I've had different groups from Thailand and kings and princes and tribal leaders and, various, trustees from all over the world who reached out to me at different times, who believed themselves to be the head of a trust or the head of a major significant organization, and they had incredible history and documentation to prove it. And I don't want to discount that. That stuff is all very impressive and valuable. But the reality is there's always been a hierarchy above that. And that hierarchy above that, it always, it would get rid of people and have them do their will by giving them very prominent titles. And by giving them these titles, they felt they were very important. Now, currently, you had all of these groups meet over the past, say, month or so to 6 weeks. And on September 14th was the big Harvest Moon Festival, where they all, they usually come together and sacrifice babies and do horrible things, right? But, there was no festivities this year. When they came together, they were all supposed to bring a plan, but they didn't have a plan because their planners were always above them. And they were waiting for some instruction from someone. And the only one, now Kim made herself known and made sure to give them a plan. Now in her plan, humanity thrives. And she broke down how everything can be broken up into different categories throughout the world, provide humanitarian efforts and funding to allow people to be empowered. Now, there's no version that allows people to be empowered where the same exact thing is done over and over and over again. And in this same exact way, people never get money. The project owners have gotten regularly about 1% of the humanitarian funding that comes out, and nobody's ever able to do anything. Now, in this, Kim has been breaking down for a couple of years now how the global currency reset / the currency revaluation, there is no way for that to be economically viable. No matter how you do it, it crashes the economy, no matter what you do. So in every single version, every single model, it crashes the economy. Now, for everyone out there who says, well, no, it's all gold backed and you don't even know. Yes, I do know. I did this for a long time. For a long time, I was involved with the RV. I had all the same sources you had. I had sources of the Pentagon, sources of the Treasury, and sources of the Chinese elders, and people in the bonds. In every walk of life, I had different sources who had different versions of what was going on. And I talked to all of them. And I was very diligent at all times, making those connections and learning and talking to white hats and all types of people. When it came down to it, when I finally was challenging, like, why do they keep telling us it's going to go and it doesn't? It is the worst psyops, it's the most painful experience for anyone to be in. Because you're constantly expecting. Now, you have two options of that. The first option is that they don't have control, right? Now, the second option is they are sadistically evil. Either option, is terrible, but the reality is they're both true. They didn't have control and they're sadistically evil. And they don't care about our well-being. Now, you don't want to turn control over to people that you think are gods because they don't have your well-being in mind. Just because they seem powerful, they're not. And right now what's happened is Kim has taken them apart. And as early as last Friday, the Federal Reserve and Chase Bank were working directly with Kim in cooperation, 100% in cooperation, even though the previous week she brought money in. And when she brought money in, they were supposed to clear their money and clear her money. And they cleared their money as usual. And then by 5 o'clock, they did not clear her money, so she pulled it all back, showing them again she has control. But then on this past Friday, that was 2 weeks ago, and then this past Friday, the funds did clear, and she was waiting for the batches to separate out, I guess. And she said it was batching. I'm just not familiar exactly what that term means, but I think that's right. So, and basically what happened is she realized, there's a code. There's a gatekeeper code, right? And in their gatekeeper code, that was how they were able to steal the money from us and move it around. Well, she shut all of their gatekeeper codes off. So at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, all the families, the Dragon families, they realized for the first time they don't have control of the face of the bank anymore. So everybody out there who's still in resistance mode and trying to prove I'm a fraud, and Kim's a fraud, and we're all frauds, and you guys are all right. Well, your group, the families, they don't even have control of the face of the bank anymore. And that was the only thing they had control of for a while. So now they don't have control of the face. What do you think is going to happen next? Well, real funding is going to happen now. Now people who have great ideas and true humanitarian intent, who want to save kids and not do things at their expense, who want to actually get money to real people, real innovators who have real ideas that can actually change the world, that money is going to start to come out to those people. So I would spend less time trying to prove that you're right about something that is very obvious and is going to be painfully obvious soon that you're wrong. And I'm not saying this in a way to be like, I told you. I don't feel that way. I was wrong too. Okay, I've already admitted I was wrong. I don't have a problem saying, I was wrong. I misled people and I had bad intel. And I did it for years. And I've apologized for it. I apologize now. I'm sorry I did that. I was wrong. I didn't know. Now I do know, and I know it so well because I've seen it on a level that is where I can see what the glitches are that people are going to run into. I understand why it's so compelling, why you're so convinced that it's right another way. But at the end of the day, it comes down to there's just evidence that shows the latter. Now, most of the people out there who even know and follow the RV, you're truthers, right? Now, part of being someone involved in getting to the truth is you do real research, right? You actually find evidence. Now, going to Interpol and saying, there's an investigation on Kim at Interpol. First of all, Interpol is completely controlled by the NSA. They're all one massive intelligence agency. There is no investigation on the real Kimberly Ann Gogan. There is a body double who is out there for the Kingdom of Mana, because the Kingdom of Mana was out promising the world all types of things. And the Kingdom of Mana would go back and forth. Sometimes they would say, we're working with Kim. Sometimes they would say, no, Kim got removed. Sometimes they would say, some other version of the story. But Kim has never done that. She's been consistent the whole time. She's been very clear what her position is and what she's doing, and she has done it. And she has reprogrammed the system with virtually no help from anybody in any kind of leadership or authority. Now, the reason why that's important is because money has always been the key. It's been the control mechanism to control the energy of the planet. That means the life force energy of every human being on this planet, and Kim wants to give it back to you. Now tell me what anybody else who has control of this, do you really think that they intend to give you your life force energy back? They don't. They just want to control you a different way. Now that...
Can I say something about that? Because you and I have talked about that. You and I have already had discussions. And some of these teams who have tried to offer deals and contracts, there's one sitting in my email right now that I've never opened, and anyone that's on the intelligence side can clearly go into my email and they know I've not opened it and printed it. So, this is where I stand, and I've been very firm on this, but I will say this again on this show, that my stance and my loyalty has been to be on the side of the truth, and the side of the truth has been let's do projects and pay. And so that's where I'm going to always stand. Now, I also would say that when you're looking at things on for the audience, when you're trying to decide who's telling you the truth, if someone's telling you you're going to get a lot of money, but you're not going to tell anyone, well, you cannot discuss this, it's going to be in a trust, and no one can discuss that. Red flags need to go in it, because that's what guys in this mess about not being transparent. And so any system that wants to hide money from the people, it's our assets, it's our trust, we are the trust. And if they're going to hide things and they're going to hide the system, that's not a system I do want to work with. And so I would hope that the people would start realizing that with Kim and with projects and everything, it's very upfront, honest, and so I would hope that we would be looking at that if someone's telling you to hide it from the people and you cannot tell people about this contract, and that's just not a contract that I'm going to put my name on because of integrity and what we've been fighting for. And what we've been fighting for is transparency and to restore the power back to the people. And if any side on government, intelligence, Chinese elders, anyone that's working on projects and improving the world, if you're going to hide it for the people, you need to go back to the drawing board and add a little bit of integrity in there, and then come back to the table.
You're absolutely right, and I'll tell you something. I've never heard anybody else talk about this except for me, but I am very, very convinced that this is absolutely true. Anybody in the RV/DCR, for a long time, you'd hear about these exchange centers, right? We're all going to go to the exchange centers. It's going to be magical. You can go in, turn your currency in. You'll go in one door, out the back door, right? You have to sign an NDA. Very quiet. Now, here's the problem with that, right? If this were to go down, you have to consider all the other things that have happened that you didn't know about. For example, we all saw the FEMA camps, right, that were there at the Walmarts and the various places that wouldn't be so, would you really be surprised if your exchange center was a Walmart out in the middle of Texas somewhere? No, right? Now, but not only that, but we also know that FEMA ordered 30,000 guillotines. We also know that there is an agenda, right, that is not about a currency reset, but a human reset of reducing the population, i.e. the Georgia Guidestones. So we know that exists, right? Now, somehow in this, we convince ourselves that this was separate from the global currency reset. But what if the elusive 800 numbers come out, everybody goes in to exchange their currency, right? Now, if, somebody went in to exchange their currency and you didn't hear from them for a while, would you even be suspicious? Of course not, because you were told to be quiet, right? You were told you were going to have to sign an NDA. So if Michelle went in and exchanged her currency and I didn't hear from her, I go, oh, wow, Michelle exchanged, that's great, right? Now she can't talk to me, right, until I exchange. So now I would willingly go to the same place, but isn't there a possibility, if you think about it, that the people that are awake, the truthers, right, the people who have bought into the currency, they're the same ones who could do the most damage if they knew what was going on. They're the same innovators, the same inventors, the same healers, the same people with all types of amazing ideas and technologies. Wouldn't it be the best way to really commit, massive genocide is to take all those people that are awake and eliminate them by pretending that they're going into exchange, but in reality, you're just taking them in to eliminate them altogether. Yeah. I would just throw that out there. I'm not trying to fearmonger. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to wake people up because what I do know for a fact. Now, that is speculation on my part. But what I know for a fact is the RV will not happen.
Because I told you probably 2 months ago that a contract was sent to me about a trust and how much money would be funded to me. And I told you, I said, I showed you a real quick picture of something, and I told you even up to like a week ago when we were talking about this, I've never opened that email setting up a trust. That's not who I am. And I mean, I've been offered to come to Kansas and have any grant that I wanted if I would just shut my mouth. I've been offered $2 million, contract, and I walked away from it and came back to Arkansas to fight for Arkansas. And I've had a lot of money thrown at me. I've had a deputy director of Department of Veterans Affairs sitting in Show's office to me and make a deal, and I wouldn't take it. And so, I believe when you have the RV community and people that are preaching that, and then they're sending private contracts to hide. And my question again is, where's the integrity? If we do not restore integrity back to policies and procedures, we will be in this mess again. So anything that's going to have to be built will have to be built on integrity, honesty, respect of the people. And when you are saying that you're pushing the RV system, that we're going to have these contracts and non-disclosures, and don't tell anyone, Michelle, that we love you so much, you get this much money. No, that's not how I work. Everyone should have the opportunity to thrive in the world. And anybody that's on any side who wants to control the human population, you're not on the right side. You're not on the right side.
I agree.
I agree. And I want to make a comment, Tank, about what you were saying about this taking up all the dreamers, all the people with imagination, all the ones that can create good realities, and then sending them to these exchange centers. So all the people with brains, I want to compare that to what happened when they put communism into China. They rounded up everyone with a brain. All the engineers, all the professors, all the teachers, all the chemists, all the everybody, accountants, and they killed them.
Yeah.
Because they said, well, it's all about the farmers. That was their line back then. But it was all about getting rid of the people that can actually create reality. The ones that already know how to harness the creative spirit and make things happen. So that's I agree with you there. It does seem like that would be a likely part of their plan. My dog also agrees.
And they were rewarded for this. I mean, this is post World War II. Yeah, it was a Mao Zedong, right? Mm-hmm. Genocide.
Right.
It's estimated somewhere between 50 and 80 million people were eliminated, right? Yeah. And they were applauded by the World Health Organization and the United Nations and the World Bank for their efforts, right? They were also implementing female infanticide at the time, right? And so this is a common practice, right? So as much as it might seem crazy, everyone thinks it's crazy when you're in the midst of a genocide, right? But wouldn't you be happy that somebody was warning you that it was happening?
Yeah. Should be.
Well, so a lot of wrongs and a lot of deaths, and written in history because someone was just obeying orders. And I tell people that all the time. Remember, a lot of the rights have been taken away because someone was obeying orders. And I agree with you that there's been a genocide through vaccinations, medication, your air, your water, that fluoride. They poison you every day. And we all allowed it. We allowed it to get to this point, and now we're having to fight a pretty big battle. And the opponent, though, is going to lose this time. But you're being poisoned, and you allowed it. You allow them to poison your children from the moment they're born, and you're allowing them to poison your water, your air. And so I really think people need to be very mindful that it's not really beneath them to have an art so cash in something and they capture you. And that's not beneath them. And so I think people need to be very vigilant and aware, and to be in a safety mind of what is safe and what is honest, what is the truth.
Yeah. And I would say that we are in, my personal attitude is we should be in more of a attack mode, and we should be forcing them to respond to us at this point, because by the time we react, it's too late. They've already got us. So that's why it's very important for us right now to realize, we have to bring the fight to them, right? We have to stand up with our lawful courts, right? They're organizing right now to try to take over California. This is just a fact, right? Luckily, we have, Marines on the ground there I just don't believe we're going to allow that to happen, And the UN attack vehicles, I did ask Kim about this because Kim described, we have frequencies that can disable those things. So I did point that out to her, and she said she wasn't really looking at it, so she made sure that she would look into it. And I have full confidence that can be disabled as well. And then you have, obviously, when you have you have a congresswoman up in Minnesota, Ilhan Omar, who is very clearly supporting, this ridiculous charade of a, Antifa terrorist group. And you got to think, this is like a movie. I mean, they are coordinating underground tunnels that have been in place and been building for years and years and years. I mean, decades. They've been planning this time, and it's falling apart all around them. And right now, there is a peace treaty in effect. So anybody out there trying to portray President Trump as a warmonger, you couldn't be further from the truth. He's doing all he can to bring about peace. Right. He's doing all he can to fight for the people the best he knows how, at least in everything that I see. And he's been very consistent. So I think that's something that we can be, that I would say the two most powerful people on the planet.
I can say that the Marines been extradited for the children. That was less than 5 days. He saw that they bring the Marines in 5 days. They were called in. So, and I always am going to give kudos to when I see it. And I believe that Trump has been an amazingly force for us on child trafficking and working with child protective services. And I'm just going to support what I see, and I do see things going into place. I see, the cabal and the little witchy state people running around and panic, and we listen to them on intel, and sometimes we literally hear them freak out over what's going on, how much control they're losing. So, and really the power is within the people, and, you feel like Southern California, people need to realize that the fire and things like that are going in California. You're going to see the deep state react, try to make you react again in fear. And so be very mindful of that, of false flags, and be very mindful of that. We do not want to react the way they want us to. They want us to react more. And there are people that need to be dealt with, but we need to deal with them in the right way. And so I would really encourage people to sit back and make sure you're not seeing a false flag and getting pulled in something that you don't really want to be pulled in. Peace this time. This is how we change the world this time. We have to stop resolving issues with war. And I never heard of married couples or partners to work out their relationship by fighting each other's war, start bringing peace. And that should be the same concept across the world, is that when we come together, we bring peace, and the concept is that we're going to solve things with peace, love, understanding, respect, and integrity, instead of picking up arms and going to war.
Well, I think we're in that mode where Trump is pulling back troops from Syria. He's declaring peace everywhere, whether it's North Korea or even Iran. Things are being worked out to where peace will be worldwide. And the cabal.
And Turkey, like people are thinking, and we've got things going on, and we've made progress in Palestine, and that was and I've been able to get over 126 women and children out of there, and we do see a lot of alliances coming together to bring peace across the world, and that's what this is about. It's about and when you have people like you and Tank every day that come to the table, and you're encouraging people to go at this in a peaceful manner, to be hopeful, and to create the change that we want. And these steps are what makes the difference.
Well, the Marines were used to get these 2,100 children out. Now, I also know that there was 10,000 Marines called up just for California. Is it part of that same group? Are the Marines going to be used everywhere to pull out the kids around the whole country? Is this like the
We
system?
were taught that the Marines would help us extract the children. I do know that there will be, Texas will be looked at very soon. And you have the UN in Texas. That's one of the hubs for UN. So Texas is going to be a state that you really want to monitor. And actually, it's really funny because the United Nations, the Blue Teams were in Paris during those riots, and it had Chevelle and Kermis on it. But anyway, Chevelle is a Greek word for trickery, and so I've actually have taken the UN tanks and I've looked at their lettering on them, and then I can show you the one of them was Chevelle is poison your air and water. Man in black suit will poison your air and water. And the other word on the other UN tank was for trickery, when you go in and you look at the Greek word for it. So you really should look at the UN tanks and look at the writing on them, and then go look at the Greek definition, and you'll find out they're giving you a message that their trickery is going to your water. The clearly definition was black man suit. I'll give it to Tank and then I'll let y'all post it, and so you can see where I broke all this down on the UN before actually. But the UN is very heavy in Texas. That's one reason why, if you saw a couple of weeks ago where people were missing in Dallas, there was kind of a martial law going on in that area, and that Texas is controlled by UN. They were trying to do that in Arkansas as well, and there was a deal with a China facility that had planned to bring in the UN and China troops to Arkansas, and that was the background story that we were getting intel from last year as well.
Back to California, that area that was south of Silicon Valley is called Morgan Hills, and this other the show that I've been watching, it's the Common Sense show, and he was saying that there was a deep underground base found there, and that was also where the staging area was at, and of course it's just south of where they had Oakland. Oakland has a port in like San Francisco. It's right across the bay from San Francisco. Oakland has a port, and then just south of Oakland is this area that has had no power for all these days. I don't even know if it's back on yet. But it seems like that whole area was being set up as a staging area to bring in troops from the UN. So when you said 2,700 kids were rescued from it. Say again.
Remember, I told you your ports are very. Remember, I told you your ports are very important to watch. You're going to watch port locations, and I gave that to you the first week. I said, if you want to find out where they're trafficking children, go to your ports and look at the cargo. The biggest trafficking industry is Alice. I'm always asking about Alice, and I can't wait until Bill Gates and I get to talk about that one day. But look at your shipping containers, the Clinton Foundation, and all of them, and then go follow your ports. And then when you get to the port, even when you get to a church, a Catholic church, or even if you take a 15-mile radius, you can find a military base, a Catholic church, a funeral home, a crematorium, and water. So you usually can figure out the trafficking rings very quickly. Usually, if we can map it out in 15 minutes, I can have your traffic route reported within a week of them trafficking children.
I just remembered also Evergreen. They also call Hillary Evergreen. Her Secret Service code name was Evergreen. And then there's this Evergreen shipping line, right, with all these big green containers. I wonder if that's related also to, there was a large. Say again.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying there's a large, I think it's the largest trading platform. It's like with the high yield programs. That is called Evergreen. So I just wonder if that's
right, yeah,
I wonder if that's tied in as well. with this same trafficking. I'm wondering.
Anything that Clinton is attached to is corrupt. Anything.
Yeah,
I think that
pretty
goes
much a good
without
rule.
saying.
Yeah.
It's a rule. Yeah.
I mean, literally, anything she touched Bill, he's corrupt. She touched, all these, he's corrupt.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Hillary's day is coming, and she needs to know she is no longer welcome in Arkansas. When she was here at the Math and Science, that little piece of paper that was split for that $1,000 meet and greet, we know about your retirement party that night, and you're not welcome back in Arkansas. So, and like I said, your reign is over, and the people in Arkansas are taking their state back. Don't come back to my state. You're not welcome here.
All right.
Go, Michelle.
I like it. I like it. Got to take a stand in place we can. I like it. It's really it's long overdue. So I'm really pleased to hear President Trump taking such decisive action and following through on his word. And getting those people out.
Well,
I'm really very happy about that.
Yeah, I want to ask is I wanted to ask this back when you mentioned it, but did you meet with Trump for half an hour? Is that what you said?
One of our a group that I work with, one of our girls out of Arkansas, and that we work with Intel, and they got to meet with him for 30 minutes. And so it's been big win for us. So she's the girl that I work with Intel here, and it's a case that I'm working on with them that they met with. And it was a child that the court system has, of course, trafficked, giving the child to a pedophile. And then they were wrongly arresting her, but the court system was really going after her. And it was because she speaks publicly. So I helped with the case, and that case was tied into child trafficking, and he agreed to allow the Marines to come in to extract the children.
Awesome. Well, that's good that Trump is involved, at this level. I mean, he's taking that personal interest, but it makes sense because if he's going to be using the Marines, to round up the 120,000 that are in the indictments, the sealed indictments. I wonder if it's also the main forefront of this seems to be on the trafficking, the human trafficking. That seems to be the theme that he's the narrative that he'll be pushing out to the people.
The intel has always been that the Marines have been the driving force of cleaning things up. The Marines have been very loyal, or we've been more successful with them. The National Guard has actually also been very successful in this. They've been around Washington, the White House, guarding the White House. And so the National Guard has been a huge force for the people. So the Marines and I'm not saying all branches have been important, but those were two branches at the very beginning on Intel. And when we would have a hit called out on someone, and like with Holmes' death, and we had decoded the hit called out on him, and when we were going down the chain of calling this Intel group, putting the 911 emergency out, and we had two options, and it was call the Marines or you call the National Guard. And my intel on the inside as being more children were trafficked out was very dominant on Air Force bases. And so that's always been concerning with me in my area. And I'm not saying all Air Force bases are bad, and we've got bad people and good people on every base. But in my line of work, what I'm seeing was the Air Force bases were very involved in trafficking children. And so, with Trump, what I see has been very loyal with Intel and helping us. It's been the Marines and the National Guard and for other higher people. It's encouraging. I encourage anyone that's in the field. I don't care if you're a police officer or whatever you are, just do the right thing. And it's time to, if you've been taking orders that you are not, they're not constitutional, they're not right to the people, take a stand and make a choice. And when we all stand up together, then you don't have to be afraid. And I know that happens with a lot of my veterans. They tell me, I take that command, or, I'm going to get killed. And we have to change that. We have to change that. people in the military do not feel like they're afraid if they do the right thing.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I guess Trump can order them to do the right thing across the board, and then they're able to do the right thing. They're following orders from their commander in chief.
Yep.
Well, yeah, this was amazing. I just wonder, what did I miss yesterday? It's like it's like how to miss one of these broadcasts, because we cover so much fascinating, amazing, information, and because we're doing it, it's happening. We take the steps forward. Everyone, this is the time to take action, to do the right thing, and this is the time.
This is about, for all the ones that have, I remember Kim did the video and she made the statement, the ones that are complaining, why is the money not here? What are you doing? And she said, how many of you are not going to bed basically to sleep? We're doing this for free. And there have been so many sacrifices from so many of us to get us to this point. We'll continue making those night sacrifices where we don't sleep and we do the work that needs to be done to make sure this gets completed. But I really encourage people to realize that, and we've got a force on the front line right now. It's pretty amazing. And so it's kind of easier for y'all to just strap your armor and come on and let's make a change. And so I encourage all of that. And I see that we are getting more and more people seeing what we've been speaking, and truth, that speaking is coming to power, and I think taking all that. But there's been a lot of people who, we've sacrificed our families, our lives, but it's for the right cause, it's for humanity, and it's time to bring Kamala home. It's time to come home.
Yes, this is the time. We've made amazing progress. I'm just happy we've rescued 2,100 kids in one fell swoop from an underground facility. That's totally amazing. And then wherever else they are, how many are there? I mean, it's just the thing, 2,100 in one area. I mean, that's
amazing.
What are the ages of these kids?
I'm not got that info yet, and right before I finished the tank, I was still getting intel, and I'm not. I keep seeing it coming in, but I'm not reading them yet. So, when I get off, I'll look at more of my messages. And this was just a huge win, when we see our work coming in, and we've seen some really bad things happen in the past. Children being sacrificed, killed, sold because we did not have the people there to, extract them out. That's the hardest part. Take note of that. I'll probably get a little cranky when I give intel and we know the children are there and things fall through and they weren't rescued. And so it's very encouraging to see this and see that we had them on the ground and we were able to get that many children. That's very encouraging for all of us to have worked years on intel and building a system to hopefully work with the underground people and the Marines to rescue the children. And this is nothing but about rescuing, and it's about rescuing the children, it's rescuing all of you. And this is very encouraging that we do have a president, we have people who are supporting each other and being an alliance to change the world. And so thank you, Kim, and all y'all for all the work y'all done and sacrifices.
Well, it's a mutual appreciation society. Everybody's got to do their part. So, Speak Walkers, appreciate you. Thank you, Michelle, for all you do, and everybody else out there, all the Marines who took action, and likewise. And Dan, I think that wraps us up for tonight. What do you think?
That looks good to me. This is perfect show. It's a perfect show. Perfect.
It's good to see you again, Dan. It's very good I've missed you.
It's very, very, very good to meet you guys. I mean, to express this face to face. I love Zoom. We're able to actually, literally, connect and feel our presence, much better than on just an audio call. So, where's Tank though? Tank.
He doesn't show
Yeah.
That's all right.
you know, he,
But
Okay.
I'm on the run, you know.
yeah. But you're welcome.
and
Yeah,
that's taken,
you're welcome to come back
I'll come
anytime.
back. I'll come back. We've got a lot of intel that, like I said, is coming in that's very encouraging, and so, you know, I'll check in a little bit more than what I've been doing, but we've been working. We've been working on a lot of things, and what's more important right now is that the messages keep getting out, and that we have a plan to and change the world. And to me, that's sometimes more important than everybody seeing my face every night. But I appreciate the platform. I love all of you, and I mean, thank you for all that have made the sacrifices, and to the guys that were part of this. And you know, thank you, and we really appreciate all the work y'all done.
Yes, indeed. All right.
All right.
Peace out from New York, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.